The following video is by Nightshift 10,000. If you like it, be sure to subscribe to him, link in the description. And a reminder that all patrons who pledge at the Super VIP Club level or higher are entitled to have one video mirrored on my channel per month, no questions asked. Without further ado, here is Nightshift 10,000.
Step on back while I take you to school. Hey.
Howdy folks, this is Nightshift 10,000 reporting for duty again with a new video. You may remember that My Two Cents and myself did a collaboration video a few months ago on why anarcho-communism was an oxymoron when we responded to a video made by Christopher Sabo? I don't give a fuck. Anyway, we took this fool to town and beat his video senseless with the barbed wire baseball bats of truth. But instead of listening to us or taking our points to heart, he decided to make a video on why he thinks anarcho-capitalism is an oxymoron. Ooh. Yep, as you may have guessed, I'm going to be tearing this video a new asshole, and I'm going into even more detail on why anarcho-communism is an oxymoron, and just plain moronic. So, everyone, to quote a great man, this shit's gonna have nuts in it. Strap yourselves in, folks. This is gonna be a good one.
I didn't think I'd have to bring it to you, but I do.
Turn it up.
And we're off to a great start. Although, I've got to admit, I'd have to be high off my ass, too, to be an anarcho-communist.
So, on the fucking real for a second, why is there such a fucking effort to marry anarchy and capitalism together?
Because they just work so fucking well together. Well, at least real, individualistic anarchy works with free market capitalism really well.
You realize that there's a map designed to explain where you lay on the political scale, and it is multi-dimensional for a specific fucking reason.
That political spectrum is not the best example of a good political compass, and there are better spectrums that are even more accurate than that at explaining what anarchy is as opposed to anything else.
Capitalism focuses on a very vertical way of thinking.
Wow. Thank you for posting that definition of capitalism. You just saved me a lot of trouble. Now, let's go over this. Capitalism is an economic and political system in which a country's trade and industry are controlled by private owners. Private owners for profit rather than the state. Now, let's go over the definition of anarchism, which is a belief in the abolition of all government and the organization of society on a voluntary cooperative basis without recourse to force or compulsion, as I described in several of my past videos. Now, let me ask this. How is anarchism, by that definition, in any way opposed to capitalism by its own definition?
Whereas anarcho-communism tends to think on a very horizontal scale. Meaning...
Whoa, what the fuck was that? Dude, are you lampooning yourself? Wait, is this a troll? Are you trolling ANCAPs? Because you've got to tell us if this is a troll. Those are the rules.
It cares more about its comrades, its people, each other.
Oh, yes. Look at how caring and loving communism is. Truly, a humanitarian ideology at its very core.
The campaign was not just against the army rebels, but against capitalism itself.
Capitalism only benefits the higher man. Capitalism primarily focuses on maintaining a hierarchy.
Explain to me how capitalism benefits the quote-unquote higher man. Plus, hierarchies have always existed within the human stratum, and it is provable that hierarchical structures are natural to our very existence as human beings. There are natural hierarchies all over the place that are never going away. The only difference between the hierarchy in an ANCAP society as opposed to any other society is an ANCAP hierarchy is completely completely voluntary, and one can engage and disengage with these hierarchies as they so choose.
We have ourselves a plutocracy, a government run by the wealthy and specifically designed for the wealthy.
Government? Government, you say? Well, obviously, you can't read or you have bad word comprehension because you obviously missed the part where anarcho-capitalism is anarchist. It's in the fucking name. We hate governments. We hate states. We want to abolish the state, dumbass. Here, Chris, let's just state it simply so that you can understand. There. Is that simple and clear enough for you, buddy?
Thanks to the neoliberal economic circulation.
What? Are you fucking shitting me right now? Oh, that's right, you're high. I guess that explains your idiocy here. Anarcho-capitalism and neoliberalism are nothing alike. Neoliberals want to use the government and corporatism as tools of oppression and controlled economics. Anarcho-capitalists want to abolish governments and corporations entirely so that businesses and individuals can be freer and more prosperous.
Capitalism doesn't even think in the same school of thought.
You're absolutely right on this, Chris. Collectivism and oppression really aren't capitalism's strong suits.
As anarchy. They're not synonymous. Anarchy was born based on worker rights, worker interest, the workers trying to...
Wow, he actually had the balls to post the definition of anarchism right there. Again, how are anarchism and capitalism not synonymous, especially with definitions like that? It matters very little what the terms were born upon based on what anarchism and capitalism both are now. They come together pretty well.
Get a fair wage and a fair set of hours. That's why the IWW fucking exists in the first place.
Ah yes, the Independent Workers of the World Union, a group responsible for violence, rioting, property destruction, and several murders, and, on top of all that, became immediately just as corrupt, if not more so, than any public union out there.
You can't treat the working man this way. One day we'll form a union and get the fair and equitable treatment we deserve. Then we'll go too far and get corrupt and shiftless. And the Japanese will eat us alive.
Another thing you have to understand is that if you were to create a free market in a supposed anarchist society, you also are forgetting one crucial thing.
You get up on your little 21-inch screen and howl about America and democracy. There is no America. There is no democracy. There is only IBM and ITT and AT&T and DuPont, Dow, Union Carbide, and Exxon.
Oh, and now you're going to conflate free market capitalism with corporatism. Big surprise. Free market capitalism and corporatism are nothing alike, and you again make the cardinal sin of trying to make an anarcho-capitalist society look like a government-run corporatist society. The reason it's anarchist capitalism is because we hate states and governments. How many times do I have to say this to you? Oh, God. Oh. The stupidity here being displayed by Chris is actually painful. I am in pain right now. But then again, this is the fucker that defended the game Shaq Fu, so I'm not expecting much intellectual intensification here.
When there's no regulation as to what is profitable and what is considered capital, anything fucking goes.
Whoa, wait, what the fuck? What? Wait a minute. Hold up. Did Chris just make my argument for me? Yeah, Chris. That's exactly why it's anarchist capitalism. When there's no regulations, anything fucking goes. Hence, the anarchy and the capitalism. Wait, is Chris gonna make my arguments for me now? What the hell is this?
After all, what do you think the people over at Energy Transfer are doing?
It's water cannon being used on water protectors in North Dakota. The contrast between the spin and the media representation from these oil companies and these thugs are completely misaligned with the reality of what's happening there. This is high-pressured water hoses on nonviolent protesters who are trying to protect their water.
Okay, fine. Chris is not making my argument for me, but instead, he is again blaming capitalism for what government does. The way anything goes in anarchist capitalism is you are free to buy, sell, and trade in anything you want, as long as individual rights are not being violated. Sorry, Chris, but anarcho-capitalism isn't when government does stuff.
Anything fucking goes, especially the notion that conquering other people, massacring other people, slavery, it's all profitable.
No, 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 you're wrong! Terribly wrong! Capitalism is vehemently against slavery and despotism, as these ideologies go against individualism and freedom of commerce and worker freedom as well. Free market capitalism has always been about individuals having the freedom to work where they so choose and as they so choose, and to make a wage and also to keep all of their earnings. In slavery, none of that is present. Hell, if we want to get historical about this, consider 19th century slavery in the US. This was practiced in the agrarian South, but not in the industrialized North. Part of the reason, at least for this, is that slavery is viable only when simple and easily monitored tasks are being performed, such as picking cotton or rowing in a galley ship. Because capitalism leads to innovation in productive techniques and, with it, a declining demand for unskilled labor, it reduces demand for slave labor and for slavery altogether to exist. I wanted to get into this later on in the video, but I feel in light of these points that it should be mentioned that ANCOMs in their own thinking consider food and healthcare as rights and not something that they should compensate people for. I find it highly doubtful that a doctor will want to perform quadruple bypass heart surgery for a sack of potatoes as compensation, or that farmers are going to want to work for half a year on cultivating crops and livestock to simply have them taken and redistributed to the community out of the goodness of their own hearts. It seems that communism is far more akin to the ways of slavery than capitalism ever will be. Hell, given that commies and ANCOMs want to have more agrarian societal existences, the rise of slavery within communistic societies becomes all the more prevalent.
Something that can be done. In fact, if anything, corporations today can be considered anarcho-capitalist.
Corporations? Those government-supported subsidy eaters? Bosh! Flimshaw! But on the fucking real for a moment, how? How can government-backed, government-subsidized corporations even be considered the slightest bit anarchist capitalist? And this sure as fuck better be good, Chris.
With the behavior and consistency that they have been maintaining. That they want a free market with no regulation or lack of regulation. That's what NAFTA, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, was all about. Do you not see the consistent patterns here?
Oh, I'm seeing a consistent pattern here, all right, Chris. I'm seeing a consistent pattern that you are not an anarchist, especially if you support organizations like NAFTA and the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which are both government-organized agreements. And how are corporations free market in any way when they use dishonest tactics to manipulate the market? Plus, corporations are all about regulations as they use the government like parasites. Not too far off from ANCOMs, if you ask me.
It's all about exploiting the workers in the name of profit.
Giving workers a choice on where they want to go to work and on what jobs they want to do? The bastards!
And this is the same tone that anarcho-capitalists abide to. And I know what you guys are thinking. Capitalism is a great fucking motivator. It puts the fire, the fucking needle under our motherfucking asses, Sky. Capitalism can achieve some magnificent shit.
What? What? Okay, apparently Chris here is going to be doing my job for me, so I'm just going to sit back and just let him take it away, I guess. Go for it.
If there's money to be made on it, that is.
Meaning it doesn't support useless things and focuses on what is of value and forward-thinking ideals, causing innovation and improvements on people's lives and the world? How horrible!
Capitalism drives us to compete. That is the fire that is under our asses. It brings that attitude, oh, if they fail within our capitalist economy, then, that's just the way things are. That's why neoliberalism is so fucking ugly.
Okay, I've already explained why anarcho-capitalism is not neoliberalism, but yeah, everything else he said is true of free market capitalism and anarcho-capitalism. And let me make this clear. You can make money doing anything, especially in an anarcho-capitalist society. Take the deep web, for example. The deep web is the absolute heights of the black market, and you can make money buying, selling, and trading anything on that platform. Now, there are darker elements to the deep web, but the key there is voting with your dollars and not supporting those negative, more red market platforms.
Primarily because when capitalism does things, it comes to a screeching halt if there's no money to be made on it.
There's always money to be made, as so many online platforms have shown and taught us. Just get to work, Chris, and you will see.
Anarchy, on the other hand, teaches mutual aid and to work together for the mutual benefit.
That may have been what anarchy was about once, Chris, but as I'm about to point out in this video, ideologies evolve. And why should aid, even mutual aid, not be something voluntary and that is left up to the discretion of the individual, Chris?
We humans, on the other hand, can learn from crows and ant colonies when they help each other to achieve a specific goal.
Oh, God, you didn't just say that, did you, Chris? Ants living in colonies are ruled by queens that enslave them to their will mercilessly. They are completely anti-individualist, unlike humans that are individualists. Good on you, though, for showing your true colors and supporting totalitarianism. You need to be more honest.
Instead of working against one another, instead of keeping tallies on each other.
The ant, the bird, the marmot, the savage have read neither Kant, nor the fathers of the church, nor even Moses, and yet all have the same idea of good and evil. And if you reflect for a moment on what lies at the bottom of this idea, you will see directly that what is considered as good among ants, marmots, and Christian or atheist moralists is that which is useful for the preservation of the race, and that which is considered evil is that which is hurtful for race preservation. Not for the individual, but fair and good for the whole race.
I'm not against people helping each other out, but only if they do so on completely voluntary terms. Comparing humans to ants or saying that we should be more like ants is just demeaning and dehumanizing, even down to the very core of our genetics.
All of this information can be read up by both of Peter Kropotkin's book, The Conquest of Bread, and Mutual Aid, a Factor in Evolution.
The levels of retardation in those books is strong beyond even the most heightened levels of weaponized autism. There's no doubt about that. Oh, wow. That was one hell of a thing to slog through. God. Okay, now let me explain my main point with this video of why anarcho-communism is an oxymoron, not anarcho-capitalism. You see, anarcho-communism just plain is an anarchy. Well, good night, folks. Hope you liked the video, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked, please subscribe, and see y'all later. Bye-bye. They come from space, no, they don't come from here. These are the space people. Okay, you guys know I'm BSing you again. I'm gonna get to my reasons for this thought process. Anarcho-communism isn't anarchy because it espouses pure and direct democracy over the people, which is mob rule or tyranny by majority, and goes completely against everything anarchy stands for. Direct democracy is a key part of anarcho-communism, but democracy of any kind is still a government and forms a state, so it can't be anarchist by those standards, or any standards pertaining to anarchy. Sorry, ANCOMs, but it is government when you do it too. And you may be asking, why is direct democracy not anarchy? Well, the definition of direct democracy is direct or pure democracy is a form of democracy in which people decide on policy initiatives over their entire society and all peoples within their society directly. This overrules individuality and personal sovereignty entirely, which is the tyranny by majority part that I mentioned. Does that sound like anarchy to you? Hate to burst all of y'all's bubble, but collective ownership and collective rule are government. ANCOMs simply want to take us from one state to another one that they desire. Out of one state, into another. Unfortunately, Chris's arguments seem to be stemming from this type of thinking, and I don't plan on making the same mistakes as he did here, so I will explain a little further what anarcho-capitalism truly is, and why anarcho-communism will never work. Anarcho-capitalism is simply put complete free market economics with no real limits, except for the violating of human rights and life. It relates to complete voluntarism and appeals to pure individualism and self-reliance, which have always been akin to strong, independent populations that radiate and expand liberty and freedom. Now, let's address the point that Chris and all the other ANCOMs watching this are going to bring up, and that being, what about the poor? What will happen to them? The answer to that is people are poor due to being stuck in poverty, and poverty is a direct result of government meddling in people's lives through laws, regulations, taxes, and many other things. In a pure free market capitalist society like what anarcho-capitalists are suggesting, all of these issues would not exist, and there would be no wealth limiters. I would be so bold as to say that in an ANCAP society, there would be no poor, at least relatively speaking. Before you spout off saying shit like, that's just a utopian pipe dream, or yeah, you want to let the poor die off, just hear me out. It's no secret that people in our society aren't living up to their full economic potential. The economy is so controlled that people aren't making nearly as much as they would if government didn't exist. There was even a group that was able to work out that we are getting screwed out of 75% of our pay, and that in a governmentless society, our income average would go from $67,000 to an average of $350,000. That average would also go up for the low earners and for literally everyone. Those who would be considered poor would make far more than they do now. But what about pricing? In a stateless, governmentless society, prices would drop through the floor due to there being little to no inflation, and that any currencies would be more likely to be high-interest currencies with high values. Meaning the prices on food, medicine, and other amenities would be at rock bottom, even though the poor would be making somewhere in the realm of the six figures. This proposal is not utopian, as there would still be problems, even in an ANCAP society. I'm not saying it would be perfect, I'm just saying it would be better. Another big issue with ANCOMs is scarcity and the belief that we can live in a post-scarcity society. Peter Kropotkin said, unironically I might add, that we can live in such a society, though he didn't really explain how. He is not the only ANCOM to say such things. There were other communists that made such claims, one even saying that the seas would rise and turn to lemonade in communism. It is in this that ANCOMs are the utopians and that ANCAPs must be the realists. Ladies and gentlemen, we are never going to live in a post-scarcity society. It doesn't matter what kind of futuristic Star Trek BS you subscribe to. It's just never going to happen. I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but it's just not. As I said before, ideologies evolve and move beyond certain ideas. Anarcho-capitalists are what you would call neo-anarchists. And yes, I am aware that that is also a term from Shadowrun, but it's just as prevalent in real life as it is in that game. Anarchist capitalism is a new form of anarchism that is truer to anarchist thought and principles and is more refined than the false, twisted mob rule that is anarcho-communism. At the end of the day, the final lesson is this. Anarchism is about individualism and voluntary interaction. Anarchy means without rulers, not without rules. And there are indeed rules in anarchy that need to be followed in order for it to be anarchy, and not some idiotic double talk like anarcho-communism. Anarcho-communism is just plain not anarchy. Period. Well, that's all for now. This is Night Shift 10,000, and aw, shit, my ex-girlfriend is showing up. I've got to wrap this up quick. And hey, Sharia! It's been a while. What's up? What is this?
Night Shift. We need to talk.
Oh, crap. I want to give a special thanks and a big shout out to Tinseltown Queen, who provided her sexy voice to this project. She is an incredible fan and awesome writer on Wattpad, and she is just an all-around exceptional person. Please check out her Wattpad, Instagram, and all her other social media accounts and give her a follow on them all. And I'll see y'all next time. Peace out, y'all. Hey guys, I think I lost her. She might just go away and...
Night shift!
Oh, damn it!